well, maybe not a good thing. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm Eric Kieselbach. I'm the chief toilet scrubber and bottle washer at ERS. I've got about 35 years of experience, but yet I don't know it all. Fact is, I only know a fraction of everything, even though I've worked on tens of thousands of phase ones, site inspections, and all kinds of things. But I put together ERS to help environmental people complete phase one environmental site assessment. ERS does not complete or do phase one environmental site assessments, and we refer them to local people in the local area of where we get requests for phase one. And so we refer tens of hundreds of phase ones annually. So if you want to be referred work, go ahead and make sure you let me know. You have to be a client, of course, and we have to feel a little bit comfortable with you and your company. So, which brings up another note. Some of our competitors have been advertising that we do phase ones, or our parent company does phase ones. Well, Phase One Inc. used to do phase ones. That used to be our parent company. 3 years ago, ERS broke out and is its own corporation now. Phase One no longer does phase ones and probably close its doors completely by the end of this year, next couple months. And we're going to auction off the phasei.com website, the phasei.com name, Phase One Inc. name, and probably the list of all our clients over the last 30 years, which means probably half that list isn't going to be any good, huh? But there's going to be, at least you get company names and stuff, and you're going to get a whole bunch, and that'll happen the end of the year. And we will notify all our current clients of when the auction's going to happen, and you can get some of that stuff. We have about 100 different .com names that used to bring phase one business. So anyway, that's pretty much it. So keep in mind, as we're going through these aerial photos, I'm going to point out some of the obvious. Once I get done, if I miss something, let me know. Let's communicate here. I might ask you a question or two. Remember, you're building a case for recognized environmental conditions as you're reviewing it. So even if you review something, you need to note it down on a notepad as building a case for a potential recognized environmental condition. If at a later date you find out it's not a problem, then you move on from there, right? Then you just don't use that as a recognized environmental condition. But you've got to review these things, trying to build different cases, series of facts to develop recognized environmental conditions for a phase one. So if you have any questions, chat them to me. I will post them just like this, and you can all see them. Okay? So if anyone's got any questions, go ahead and let me know. If you're misbehaving, I probably won't post them. But I'm going to do a real quick joke. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this one yet. So, what do you get when you combine a real estate broker and a lawyer? Anyone know? Come on, any kind of wild guess? A real estate broker and a lawyer. What do you get when they working together? How about a broke lawyer? A politician. I gotta put that up. Anyway, you get a broke lawyer. Anyway, just a stupid little fun joke. Non-sexist, non-biased. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to do our first series. We've got a lot of photos, but I'm going to try to, I don't know how quick we'll get, if we'll get through them all, but we're going to look at a whole bunch of different things. And these are, we tried to pick sites that were kind of fun and then ones that people could kind of learn things from. So again, remember, if you have any questions, concern, or you can add some stuff to what I'm saying, that'd be great. Remember, I don't know it all. If you're lucky enough to find something on one of the aerial photos, or I tell you or give you a suggestion of what something might be and you learn something, sweet, that's great. That means this webinar is valuable to you, but I'm going to try to keep it at about an hour because I know everybody's busy and working hard and all that other stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's do the first thing. I really like this one. It's kind of cool. And why is it kind of cool? Well, let's go down and look at this aerial photo. Really nice aerial photo. You're going to see that it's really clear. We don't always get this good of aerial photo. It really depends the area in the United States. But you can also see it's outlined. It's got a parcel map pasted over it. That's so you can find your site easy. Now, there's a whole bunch of things in this aerial photo that, you know, if my subject site was, I'm going to show you, I'm going to mark it. If my subject site is right here, right away, I've got boat storage or probably boat sales or something and do boat repair right away. I'm starting to think, hey, my site, you know, could repair boat engines, could do fiberglass, painting, all kinds of things. I'm going to note that down on a piece of paper. But I see a whole lot more here in this photo. So I got right here, I got vegetation, trees. What's going on here? A whole bunch could be going on here. But I want to keep an eye on that because right here, I got a big building. Now, you know, from the roof, I don't know. Is that a supermarket? Is that a manufacturing? I don't know what. But I'm going to confirm what that is. And if this is a culvert, I'm also going to then be concerned if this is a manufacturing and that's a culvert that runs under my property. Okay, the other thing I'm going to notice in this photo, and I love good photos, is obviously groundwater all flows towards, you know, a river or a bay or anything like that. So in this case, it's all going to flow towards that. I also got a commercial building down here, and I also got a marina or something here, which is going to be maybe boat repair, whatever, and another concern potentially because it's adjacent. So if you're looking at vapor extraction, I'm going to be really interested. I mean, vapor intrusion, I'm going to be really interested in this and this. I'm already interested in the subject side. Now, those are the main things I'm going to get from this photo and make notes on. Anyone else got anything? I'm here. Is vegetation a strong way to search for culverts? You know, it's a good way. If you've got a whole line like this of vegetation or trees or something, it's a good indication that you at least have a lot of water there, you know? But it's remember, you're starting to build a case. So you'll have other sources to verify what that is. And just real quick, I want to pop down to the USGS maps. Right here, you have a creek running under your site or over your site. It runs under it now. That's a big concern, right? And why is it a big concern? They put a culvert in. When they put a culvert in, do they lay it on top of that stream bed? Did they take the old stream bed, the sands and gravels out, which could be a conduit? A leaking culvert or piping can be a problem. All those things can be a concern for our subject site, especially for vapor intrusion. And yes, Mark, if you can get the 3D imagery, sometimes you can see culverts and other things, but not always. So let's go ahead and go through this series of aerial photos, because remember, we're trying to identify things back in history for the subject site. So let's go to pretty much the next one's all the same. Now, I want to get to this one. This one's 2002, about 16 years from the first one we reviewed. So again, we got really heavy vegetation right along here. We still have whatever that is here. We're still kind of a boat dealer, but we've got a new building here. And this building's kind of more prominent. But what's really interesting is we've got this building here. I'm going to make a note of what that building is, because I'm going to try to find it in city directories, fire insurance maps, or when my site inspector does his inspection, see if they can find anything out. So pretty cool. This is our subject property here. Not a lot changed, but we have this building in the corner here. We need to find out what that is too, to make sure it's not a concern to our site. So now we've got a whole bunch of things that could be a concern to our site, but I don't see a whole lot of anything else. Anyone see anything else in this aerial photo? But I think things are going to get more and more interesting. So let's go ahead and keep going. So that isn't the one I want to look at. Let's go back about, let's see. Let's go back about right here. This is back to 1955. This is almost 55 years back. This is huge. So now our site's a little different. So first of all, we have that. What does anyone think that is? It's just a little shadow. But what does anyone think that is right there? I'll take off the thing. That, and you have the same thing kind of right here. And you have the same thing right here. Well, right here, I'm guessing that's an old spur line going onto the site. We have a new building here. This old creek or culvert or whatever now goes right into the center of our property. That's a big concern to me. Probably not a canal, but who knows? Possibly. We still have this building here. So we're getting a date and time frame that that building was there, right? And that's all very important stuff. Can anyone see anything else? Let's go back to, I think this is the last photo of this site. Again, I still have this. I still have whatever this is. I've got a new building here, a new building here. I also have something like that. I have something like that, and I still have that. Those look like, to me, spur lines. Now, where could you identify those spur lines? Well, if you could get fire insurance maps, you could identify them. Probably not in well, obviously not in city directories, but you might be able to see them in the topos, but probably not. Sometimes they show up. So you got some railroad tracks there, but I don't see anything coming on your side. But you definitely know there's a railroad track running along here. So did a spur line come onto your site at one time? It's very possible. Okay. Sanborn maps, if they do exist. Old USGS maps didn't show it. And yes, interview if you've got a client that potentially knows about the site 30, 40, 50 years ago, right? Because those spur lines really didn't show up and really well until 1955. That's a long time. And keep in mind, the average commercial property changes hands or ownership about every 7 to 10 years. So usually the current owner doesn't know what happened to that site 30, 40, 50 years ago. So that was kind of our first site, and it was kind of fun. Let's go to the next site. Okay, vacant land site. So what do we get out of this site? So first of all, our site's vacant land. Right here. We have commercial all around us. We have a clump of trees here. The clump of trees could be indicative of a house or building was there before, because it looks like there's a driveway right here, right? Not a super clear picture, but not bad. Don't really see any staining or any dark spots or anything here. Anyone see anything else? Yes, probably a building was with that clump of trees. Southeast, you're thinking right here? Could possibly be above ground storage tanks, which means they're immediately adjacent. Should be the easy disturbance right there. I think that really turned out just to be gravel. So let's go ahead and go to the next photo. Little clearer picture, but everything pretty much remains the same. I think those things we thought were tanks, I think they're just a a little industrial strip area. I don't think there's any tanks there. I just think they're little buildings. But you needed to point them out just in case they turned out to be tanks. You needed to put them on your list, trying to build your case for your recognized environmental conditions. I don't see a lot of anything else in this photo. Let's jump down to, okay, let's just jump down to right here. There's some interesting stuff in here. First of all, this site isn't built yet. It's just some sort of storage yard or grading's done. They just put the roof on this site. You can tell the asphalt and stuff isn't in, so that's all new. This building got a new roof. Who knows how old that is, and it looks like it's all re-asphalted. Maybe it just got built. These are still here. All this is still here and pretty much the same. Our site still has same trees. Not as much disturbance along this edge. But otherwise, I don't see anything that's going to give me concern. I do have a little bit of storage along my property line here. So I'm going to want to look at the RecCheck report, the radius search, regulatory 1 mile radius database search, and make sure that these sites aren't listed for handling hazardous material. And then when we did the site inspection, I'd want a note to make sure I looked for staining along this property line, any monitoring wells in the ground or anything like that. That was 2002, so let's go to our site now. So we pick up a whole bunch here. There's things that we couldn't really see before. First of all, we're starting to look like this could have been potential agriculture, including our site. We still have no building on our site, but we have this little building right here. Now, I'm kind of cheating. I know what that building is, but I'm going to show you. You want to note it down. Potential agriculture, particular agriculture, our site. They still have a lot of storage right along here. I don't see any gas stations on any corners or anything. Can anyone see anything else here that could be a concern? I don't. But you need to note these down. These are all things you could have picked up. Let's go ahead and go. Now we'll supply blue lines if we don't have anything else close in the year. And really all you get to see is maybe building shapes, but you at least know the buildings are still there. It's better than not having anything in the mid to late 80s. So here's our subject site. Like I said, agriculture. We still have this feature here. We now have a stamp date, a date at least between 80 and 89 when those buildings were built that were immediately adjacent to us. I'm not very concerned about these buildings over here. But we do now have a building on the site. Can everybody see that? I don't know what building it is. Is it just a residence? Is it just a barn? I'm not sure. Can anyone see anything else that would be a concern for our site? No, let's go back a little bit. This is a good one. So now there's nothing around us in 1966. It is all farmland. We still have this feature here, and we definitely have probably a house and probably a little barn. It's too bad this photo wasn't clear enough that we could zoom in farther, but it isn't. We're going to skip ahead a little bit. Remember, if you have any questions, go ahead and say. So this is 1938. Orchard But whatever was here on the corner is gone. So one of the ways you can verify what's on that corner, we definitely have agriculture. We definitely have a barn or something here. But let's look. What is this? This is our site. Shows a building. This is a USGS map. Got a nice elevation there, right? Got a well on that corner. So a well brings up a whole lot of things. First of all, this happens to be in Rancho Cucamonga. Water's really deep. Rancho Cucamonga, California. Water's really deep. But if you can get sampling results from that well, man, that's a great addition to your phase one. You can get it easy. If you did identify possible groundwater contamination, then you would have a well you could probably sample if you needed to or something like that. So all this is pretty cool. You definitely have agriculture. There's not a whole lot more you're going to get from this site. Any questions? That was pretty cool. So we've just whipped through 2 series of aerial photos. Let's see what this one is. This is auto-body self-storage. This is kind of an interesting, fun one. This is more inner city than the last ones. So let's zoom in on this a little bit. So there's our site. So here's the mini storage, and here's the auto body repair. We want to keep a look on it, and I'm guessing that's the same. That might be a house, and this might be the auto body repair, hard to tell. But see the junk around the perimeter? That's where your site inspector, and why you should try to review aerial photos before you do the site inspection. You want your site inspector to inspect these areas right here and right here. Because if there's going to be dumping, that's where it's going to be. The other thing is, I'm going to keep an eye on this site right here. Because right now it looks kind of like a restaurant because of all the cars parked here, but maybe it is a little gas station. And we definitely have a gas station up here. This looks like some kind of transfer station, truck warehouse or something. And that could be a problem concern too. So we want to keep an eye on all these things. We have piles of dirt over here. Now, if that was on our subject site, that would definitely be a concern because I'd want to know whether that's clean soil or not. Right? Being adjacent, I'm not as concerned. It really depends which way the land is sloping here. Is this uphill or downhill of my site? So I might want to make a note of that as I'm going along so I know whether to make that a rec or not. It looks like the land slopes that way, but it's very hard to tell from this aerial photo. Again, we could go check on our USGS maps real quick and see. Let's do that just really quickly. No, we don't have USGS maps here. This was just an aerial order. So that's a lot of stuff we picked up from that one aerial photo that could potentially be a concern. And remember, definitely stream to an east. So you know groundwater, at least from this point, is going to flow that away and may flow across your site. So groundwater may flow that way. And if groundwater flows that way, it's going to be, that gas station could be a concern. So keep in mind, depending upon how shallow groundwater is and which way it flows, a gas station could be a concern. And the way you're going to find out if that gas station's had a leak or not is, again, the radius search report or rec check is going to tell you if that gas station's ever been listed for anything or any problems, or any of these others use hazardous materials or are a concern. Let's go to the next photo and see what we see. So pretty much our site is the same. This has was a junkyard, and there's some staining right there. That would concern me. Junk here. All those things are places where I would have my assessor inspect the site when they're out there walking. And not only just inspect the site, but take their heel and rub it on the dirt ground and make sure there's no depth or anything to staining, or not staining, even staining covered up. And I would kind of look over the fence at these sites and see if there's a problem. We've got pretty much the same issues all around the site. Not a lot's changed. You can see some staining here, but, again, we think groundwater probably goes that way. This is interesting. I might want to go over there and look a little bit and make sure I look in the rec check report. Remember, you want to keep notes. But here's a gas station right here, too, right? Did we miss that gas station in the last aerial photo? Yeah, we did. There's a gas station there for sure. So we got to keep an eye on these and see if they're listed in the rec check report. Can anyone see anything else that really going to light our fire here? Let's get some older ones. Let's go back. We want some good ones, though. So these are old photos. Lots of times old photos don't have a lot. So now our site is totally different. This is 1977. We still have that same building here. Got a little shed here, but that's about it. This site's got a building on it where it didn't. These look like residences here. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe not that, but these two. No gas station here. No gas station here. A lot of car parking here. I think we're going to want to look at and see what that was on the city directories. We're rural enough, you're not going to have fire insurance maps. Anyone see anything else of concern on this one? Okay, 1951. Our site, I had to zoom out a little bit. It came in better. I was too zoomed in. There we go. So pretty much, this looks like a residence. Our site is vacant. That's good things to note. 1951, our site is vacant. This site to the east is vacant. To the south is vacant. Directly across the street up here, part of it's vacant. None of the major roads are in, cross streets. Remember, we had a big new cross street right through there. Those are all things you want to know. Keep in mind when you're writing a phase one and reviewing aerials or anything else, you want to know good things too. Good things are always good. This is a potential for maybe some little outbuildings, but probably not. So that was that job. Any questions on that job? Could be residential, but pretty small buildings for residential. So let's start on a new site. We're whipping through some of these. Okay, here we go. I like this. This is a really nice site. Let's zoom in on it. You can see our site's right here. It's outlined. And right now looks fairly innocuous. Looks like we have some signage or some there, and we've got a little bit of dumping here. We have a golf course on this side. Vacant land that's surrounded by the freeway off-ramp. Probably not a problem. We have a high power line here. Can everybody see that? We have, it looks like maybe a hotel. We definitely have a gas station here. That's immediately adjacent to our site. This kind of looks like fast food to me. And some of this we could go check out on Google, and hopefully they got a shot, and from the road we're able to see what these things are, right? Because you can take your little man and place him on the road and see. So we've come up with a whole bunch of things to look at. But obviously it looks like someone was here before. So what was this site used for? So let's go ahead and zoom on. Oh my God, look at this. So we have buildings, and it looks like kind of like a fancy hotel almost. We still have the gas station, and everything else around us is pretty much the same. So 5 years back, we have a building, but here the building's gone. So you're going to want to, in your city directories, find out what that building was. It was disturbed from being torn down, and golf courses use herbicides, insecticides, pesticides, all kinds of things. So from an adjacent standpoint, that could be a concern. It really just depends what they spray around and whether they got some drift over onto this site and how shallow the groundwater is. The groundwater is probably pretty shallow because you have this pond here. Power line. Let's go to the next one. This one's a cruddy photo. Here's a good photo. So we still have a lot of disturbance over here, but it may be it had a dirt parking lot, right? This is still looking like a restaurant to me. Fast food joint. Gas station. Everything pretty much remains the same. Can anyone see anything new? You know, only if I could identify that they're on my site. I would probably, the historical wreck, I would probably see if this golf course is listed for disposing and handling hazardous materials in the RecCheck radius search report again. Because if they are, then it's not really a historical wreck because you don't know that the wreck's there yet. You could remember, in a phase 1, you're looking for actual contamination or potential contamination from hazardous materials or petroleum products. So you could actually really ask, you could really make it a recognized environmental condition as a potential for contamination if you see a lot of herbicides and insecticides and pesticides usage from that site, or especially if they've been cited for poor storage or anything else. It looks like their storage shed is here because this is probably their clubhouse. So, that's a tough one. It really depends what they're going to use the property for, too. I mean, if they're going to build something like apartments or another hotel or residential or anything like that, then I'd really make it a concern. If it's going to be commercial, I don't know that I'd make it a concern. So, I mean, I think that's something you've got to really think about it. Raisin River Golf Course. Cool. Somebody plotted the site. Lake Erie, 1 mile to the west. So everything's to the west. So everything probably flowing that way. So it's a possibility. I mean, it would be. Sometimes they had asbestos drain piping, not usually irrigation piping like on, agriculture. But yeah, they could have old asbestos drain piping depending upon how old this golf course is. And that's something you may want to know, but you're not going to see that in this picture. So, I mean, in a photo, right? That's something you're going to have to research down from identifying there's a golf course on it. Now you got to research and see what the golf course could have contributed to contamination to your site. Good questions, guys. Remember, I don't know it all. You might know something I don't know. So this looks exactly the same. I don't think I see anything different. Older gas station. So obviously the gas station was remodeled. Maybe, let me see what date it is, 1993. There might be some records of the original. There might be some records. There might be some records of the tank removals when they remodeled this gas station and whether it was contamination. Because if there is contamination, and it sounds like if Lake Erie's that away, groundwater is probably going to flow that away, right? So I'd want to know. I want to know what happened to that gas station. I might even want to go to the building records and review it, and even an agency that would have listed it if nothing showed up in the RecCheck report. Okay, let me show you something. See, I've zoomed in on this just too much. See, that's a little better. Sometimes you've got to zoom out to get a better picture of the subject property or whatever. Well, there we go. There's a really good picture for an old one. 1973. We still have our clubhouse, but we have a bunch of outbuildings here. And that's where they would store the hazardous chemicals, insecticides, pesticides. We still have our gas station. That's a pretty old gas station. Longer a gas station's there, the better chance that it leaked on you. Okay, so right now, 1964, it looks like the golf course is still there, but fairly new. You don't have the clubhouse building. You don't have the parking. You still have your gas station. I don't see any concerns anywhere else. Now we don't have anything. In fact, we probably have a farmhouse and residence here. Without a doubt. So you can see without that red box, it'd be hard to find our site. But, so 1960, you don't have the golf course, nor 1949. 1949 is your oldest one. This looks like original vegetation up here. You have some outbuildings, probably farmland. You were also at one time probably agriculture. See that? May have been dry farming. Dry farming, according to the EPA, is still a concern. Really? For the gas station, huh? Cool. That was a good check. So you got that off of Google. Okay, that's it for these photos. Let's do another set. And I'm just bouncing around. I don't like that one. Let's do this shopping center because everybody gets shopping centers. Okay, you can see our site is just part of a shopping center. It's not the whole shopping center. So keep in mind, aerial photos lots of times aren't any good because all they're going to do is show you the tops of roofs for the most part, maybe staining. So this is our site. It doesn't include up here nor any of this, but it really includes this building and doesn't include here. So that's interesting. So again, the Google map where you can get street level is going to be helpful, right? But here you're going to pick up the history. You're going to find out when this was built. It was built as part of this. But really, this is the only building, and then we have a lot of parking areas. So let's see what this thing was a long time ago. Adjacent, pretty much vacant. Looks like apartments down here. We need to know what these things are, but you can get that from the street view, or you can get that from your city directories, or maybe fire insurance maps, but this looks pretty rural. Antonio, Texas. So let's go all the way back to where it disappeared. Okay, 2008. This is when they're building it. So right now we've got some weird storage over here. We don't know what it is. Excuse me. They're just building this and just putting in the parking lot. Everything around it's being just built. So in 2008, everything's new. To the south is vacant. These are all things you want to note. Residences. Otherwise, we're not seeing much more. Let's go here. Now, this is a sweet photo. Why is this a sweet photo? Vacant land. Shows you it's vacant land. Shows you nothing's on the side. Shows you there's really no concerns all the way around you. It's just as important noting good things as noting bad things. Now, it looks like there could be a little something in that corner. Zoom in on it. Yep. Really hard to tell. Probably signage. Anyone see anything else here that might raise our temperature? I don't think so. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. Now this becomes a concern. And why is this a concern? This wow. It looks like we have another golf course over here, huh? Right here. And this is probably a clubhouse and parking. Interesting. I want to go back and look at the newest one. Sure enough. So that could be the clubhouse. This was the parking. Doesn't look like it's a very nice golf course anymore. Doesn't look like it's in business. But interesting. A little further away, it's one, you know. Can it affect our site? Sure, it depends on the groundwater flow again. Let's go down and see those wetlands. I don't know that I see wetlands in the center. You might have some wetlands up here. Now you know when those residents over here were built. But this is definitely a golf course, tennis club. You know, I was thinking the same thing, drainage or tree line at first, but I'm thinking at one time that may have been a property line. Because right here, this swale kind of goes like that. It doesn't go this way. That's a tough call. But you definitely have a line here, and it's something during site inspection just to see. It's something for your site inspector. You make a note and give it to them when they go out and inspect it. That you would do the same thing, right? So again, now you've got vacant land all around here and just the golf course and club here. I don't see anything of any concern. So now we're into 1973, and I have unusual striations here. I don't know what these are. This swale, now I'm starting to believe you a little bit because it does come from across the road, right? It is possible. Wow, a whole lot more vegetation. I'm guessing you're right. That's an old culvert. Good thing is we didn't see anything upstream. But where's our striations? 66 to 73, 7 years. So when they were working on the golf course, you know what they probably did? They probably planted some of their uh, lawn or turf over here and then cut it up and put it on their golf courses. Because the golf course isn't there in 66, but it's there in 73. So I'm guessing that golf course was put together somewhere around 73. That's good information to get off of an aerial photo, right? Yeah, I don't think they're disposal trenches, but it's good to keep an open mind just in case. So 66, there's nothing there. 63. This, I don't know what that is. Could be just about anything. Could be a little dirt road. Could be a little culvert to get water out of here. Maybe this is how they got water. Right now, it looks like dry farming because we don't see a whole lot of rows. And unfortunately, 55 is as far back as we went. Okay, we're at an hour. Does everybody, what is that to the right of the airstrip? You mean right here? You mean those are drains? Possible. This right here? Yeah, I don't know if that's an airstrip or what. I mean, it may have been where they were thinking of putting power lines through and they cleared the land, all kinds of things. But these little pits could have been little mining pits at one time. Remember, we're in Texas, right here. Hard to tell. Anyone got anything else? Could be stock watering holes. Good point. I probably would have never thought of that. Let's do one more real quick and then we're done for the day. We'll do some different ones next time. So in this case, I kind of like this one because the subject site is a gas station. We already know it's a gas station. We definitely have auto repair right here. We have what looks like some sort of manufacturing or commercial building there. And here it looks like we might have a hotel or apartment complexes or something. And here again, we have some sort of manufacturing or commercial building. What concerns me, this could be a French drain right here. And if anyone knows, French drains, berms on the east side downhill, possible. So anyway, that could be a French drain. Whether it's for the gas station or for that commercial building or just for the road, who knows? We do have a big collection pond up here for probably runoff. Let's see where this site is. Houston, Texas, definitely. So this is probably a French drain here, like I thought. So we want to keep our eye out on that. And keep our eye out. We've got our gas station. Let's see what else we can find. Anyone see anything else that's a concern? This is probably some sort of auto repair here. Well, definitely a French drain. Definitely a lot of garbage right here, and I don't know what that building is. It's not in the 2017, but it's in the 2015. 2 years later, and we've got a building up here and a lot of junk. They're not cars. See the cars there? But that's interesting, huh? We're zoomed way in. Manufacturing, I got a little staining running out of that building right there. I got a bunch of cars parked here. I'm going to keep my eyes out for that. This is a big dirty area. Anyone see anything else? I know I'm booking because I'm running overtime a little bit. Now we got a whole bunch. This French drain's concerning me more. And look at this staining right here. That's definitely staining leading right to the French drain. I'm going to have you guys look at that a little better. We're zoomed way in, but we'll try to zoom a little more in. Yeah, definite staining right there. And a whole lot of cars. Maybe it's a whole repair facility. This is still looking like apartment complexes. This is actually looking a little cleaner. Zoom out a little bit. Still manufacturing over here. Remember, we can verify all this through city directories and other things. This right here is just a shadow. Unfortunately, we can't see that same staining we had before. We still have this pond here, our gas station. Everything is pretty much the same. I don't see anything new. Our retention pond, which is right here, isn't here anymore. When did that disappear? So it's there in 2014 and not there in 2008. Something good to note. Gas station still here. This is vacant land. So now that building that used to be there and retention pond isn't there. It's 2004. Hopefully your record search report tells you something. A French drain is designed to, usually the bottom of the pond or whatever, or depression, is filled with gravel. A lot of times they might even drill big, 3-foot diameter borings and fill them full of gravel. It's so all runoff goes into that pond or French drain, and then it percolates into the ground because they don't have a storm drain system in the area. They used French drains or retention ponds. So places wouldn't flood. And that's my definition of a French drain. The gas station itself is recognized environmental condition to what are we looking for? We're looking for adjacent sites to contribute to it. Yes, you're right. A gas station in itself is recognized, and we're also looking at how old it is, and anything else that could have contributed to it. So right now, this is looks like a residence to me. But so we're just looking to see if anything adjacent could contribute to the recognized environmental condition. And yes, in most cases on a gas station, unless they have good Veeder-Root monitoring or some other kind of monitoring that had cleaned it up in the last remodeling any spillage, you probably need to do borings on the subject site, especially depending upon how deep groundwater is. So looking at adjacent sites, you're at least also going to get what you can sample for. So when you go out and sample one time, you sample for everything. So our gas station is no longer here. Our residence is, and this is, so sometime after 2002, our gas station was there. Fairly recent. So you ought to be able to go see what kind of monitoring systems they put in and what they did at the building department, because 2000, they still pretty much track things in 2002. Uh-oh. There's something there in 1995. Not a good enough photo to know what it is. Let's see if we can find a better photo. Looks like it was only there a short period. So we have a bunch of storage. We still have that house, but we have all this junk. And then we have these little buildings. No idea what they are. Still have the house. It's a little better zoomed out. We still have this manufacturing plant there. So it'll be really interesting which way groundwater flows, which way the slope is, and if this commercial building's listed for anything. Yep, you're correct on the French drains. Boy, it's possible, but then that concerns me too, because, car wash, you dump a lot of, you're using caustic stuff to take off oils and greases and slime, all kinds of stuff, and it goes right into the French drain. So that could definitely be a concern, right? But good point out. Okay, so back to 1966, it's pretty much vacant land and probably farmland. See that? Some sort of row crops or dry farming. So agriculture could be a concern for the subject property. We've got soil piles now on the subject site. And I have no idea what this is adjacent. Hopefully the city directors are going to give me a listing for that in round 62, because I'd like to know what that is. But see how the older you get, the more important it becomes. So here in 53 from really 57, 62, 57 on, it's pretty much vacant land. There's just nothing there. There's nothing around it. It's not even agriculture. Wasn't used for agriculture for a very long period of time. Looks like 64, maybe 66, but not a long time. Okay, guys, let's see, groundwater to the south. You're probably looking at that. I don't know what you mean by banned under the CWA as UIC. I thought only people in LA did all abbreviations like that. Where are you from? So we're going to do this aerial photo review. We've got hundreds, if not thousands, of aerial photo sets that we can go through. And we'll do different sets. And we'll do this once a month until we run out of different sets and try to come up with some really cool. Gotcha. So basically, you're saying if it's groundwater injection, it's a French drain with groundwater injection properties. The car wash should not be. If there was a car wash, it shouldn't be dumping in the French drain because it's banned. Is that what you're saying? That's what I think you're saying. Cool. Okay, guys. I hope. I know that was pretty quick. We're going to do one of these just like we did the site photos. If you have any great aerial photos that you think would be great in the next webinar, go ahead and send it to me. I think we all picked up a little something that we didn't know before, especially from some of the questions. That was great. Remember, I don't know it all. Drones. Drones are great. Unfortunately, the drones don't go inside buildings, but for doing vacant land, drones are great. But then you've got to watch a video, and sometimes that cannot be cost effective in writing a phase 1 report, right? But if it's a large property, it drains really good. So guys, my email's erick@reccheck.com. Go ahead and email me any aerial photos that have some really interesting features on it so I can use it in the next webinar. I hope you all learned at least one thing. 2 things would be great. Colleen, we do training webinars almost every week, 2 to 3 a week, and all kinds of different subjects. We can also, if you work for a large company, we can do specialized webinars just for your company, free of charge if you're a client. And also, we do phase 1 training, both site inspection and report writing using our free template if you order a RecCheck report. So try us out. We also customize our ERS template to fit your template, so when you order a database search, it automatically shoots in. Super. Glad to have everybody here today. I hope it was interesting, and everybody have a great afternoon. Check out our webinars on our website if you want to know where the next one is, and get on our email list because we send out emails with bonuses and specials. And to the end of September, you get $25 off of any pack. So when you're ordering online, use the code September25 and you'll get $25 off your pack. I think that's what it is. Also, you can contact Susanna if you want anything. So the code is September25. You put it in the code section when you're ordering at checkout, and you get $25 off. Pretty sweet, right? Also, you get your invoice right away when you order your report. Of course, that can change if you do any add-ons or upgrades or have a bigger property, or something like that. But remember, we're in the business of keeping you in business, saving you time, money. And if you're in business, then we're in business. And that's the idea. So if you have any suggestions for webinars or anything like that, let me know. Thank you again. Have a super weekend. And I'll be signing off. Thank you. Bye-bye.